All right, everyone, please be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Good morning.
I appreciate again you being here on time. I want to make sure again that we did not have any problems or issues regarding the court's previous instructions concerning access to media accounts. Any problems, any issues? No. All right, very well. Then we will proceed with the first witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Dr. Mondor to the stand, M-O-N-D-O-R.
Good morning, sir. Please raise your right hand and face the clerk.
Do you swear and affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat, sir.
Thank you.
If you would, position yourself close enough to that microphone so we can all hear you well.
Okay, sounds good.
May I answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can you please state and spell your full name for the court reporter?
Sure, so I'm Dr. Edward Mondor, E-D-W-A-R-D, M-O-N-D-O-R.
And doctor, what do you do for a living?
So I'm an entomologist. I'm the sole proprietor of FEAR Lab, LLC, that stands for Forensic Entomology Applied Research. And I'm also an associate professor of biology at Georgia Southern University in Statesboro, Georgia.
Can you tell us what an entomologist is?
Sure. So an entomologist is one that studies insects. They study insect life cycles, behavior. They identify what different types of insects are for many different types of purposes: agricultural purposes, pest control, and in this case, medical legal issues.
Can you describe your education and experience related to entomology?
Sure. So I have a Bachelor's of Science degree from Brandon University in Brandon, Manitoba, Canada. I have a Master's in Zoology degree from the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I have a PhD in biology from Simon Fraser University in Burnaby, British Columbia, Canada. I then did a postdoctoral appointment at the University of Calgary in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I split time with University of California, Davis in Davis, California. I then did a postdoctoral appointment at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, Wisconsin. I then got hired as a junior entomologist at the University of Hawaii in Kapaa, Hawaii. And since 2006, I was hired as an assistant professor at Georgia Southern University in Statesboro, Georgia. I was then tenured and promoted to associate professor, and that is my current position today.
How long have you been in Georgia then?
I've been in Georgia since 2006.
And you indicated that your proprietary business deals with forensic entomology and research. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Does your research include this geographical area, meaning the southeastern portion of Georgia?
It does.
Thank you. I'm assuming that's in the field of entomology?
Correct.
Are there required certifications or licenses required for practicing specifically in your field?
There are no required certifications or licenses to be an entomologist or a forensic entomologist.
Is that why you do schooling and training?
Correct.
Okay. And how long have you been an entomologist and studying to become one?
I have been an entomologist now. My first research project, I've been conducting insect research projects now for 31 years. And I've been doing forensic entomology cases for 13 years.
Have you published any peer-reviewed articles, delivered scientific presentations, or taught university lectures in entomology and forensic entomology?
I have. So at this current point, and I say that because a resume or a CV is always a living document. It changes week to week. At this current point, I have approximately 45 peer-reviewed journal articles. And approximately 7 of those are based around forensic entomology topics. For presentations that I've given to conferences, different audiences, both between myself and the students in my lab that I oversee, I have presented 170 different presentations. 57 of those are about forensic entomology topics. I also teach courses based on entomology. For example, at Georgia Southern University, I teach a non-majors entomology course called Insects and People. I also teach a majors course called Insect Ecology, where we deal with insects, identification, life cycles, behavior. And I also routinely teach a course to both biology undergraduates and graduates, cross-listed, called Forensic Biology. In that forensic biology, we have a whole unit on forensic entomology, which consists of both lecture and lab.
Have you ever previously testified as an expert witness in forensic entomology in a court of law?
I have. So I've testified in Chatham County in a forensic entomology case there in 2013.
And in that case, were you qualified as an expert in the field of forensic entomology?
I was.
And did that include the analysis of the insects and the use of that in the court presentation?
Correct. So that was a civil case, and yes, I was confirmed as an entomologist.
Can you briefly explain what forensic entomology is as it is applied to the context of death investigations?
Sure. So forensic entomology is kind of a wide-ranging field. There's different areas or subspecialties of forensic entomology. They really break down into 3 different types. One is stored product pests. Those are insects that infest food supplies, whether it's rice, grits, flour, etc. The second is urban cases. Those are cases that involve places in cities, schools, hospitals, prisons. If you buy a house, it's got termites infested with it, you might call a forensic entomologist. This case here is what we call medico-legal. That involves insects that are infesting either living or deceased individuals.
And you indicated that you testified in a civil setting, is that correct?
Correct.
So does your work cover both civil and criminal potentially in courtrooms?
It does. I have done both civil and criminal cases.
Okay. Do you work specifically for law enforcement or only in the capacity that you described?
I do not. I do not work for law enforcement.
At this time, Your Honor, the state would seek to introduce Dr. Mondor as an expert in the field of forensic entomology and the analysis of the substances, the insects, in relation to this case.
Any questions from the defense?
No questions and no objection.
All right, then he is so qualified as an expert in the field of forensic entomology. You may continue.
Now, can you tell the jury what specifically you were asked to do in connection with this case?
Sure. So for any forensic entomology case, the reason we like to use insects is because in many situations, you can't really use other things about the body to determine what we say colloquially, time of death. We don't really determine a time of death. What we do as forensic entomologists is we determine a time of colonization. That is, when do the insects first come to the body and lay their eggs on the body and develop to the stages that are then eventually found. So the reason we can use insects in these cases is really because of 2 main things. One is insects can't regulate their body temperature like we can. They're dependent on the external environment. So we use a fancy term in biology called poikilothermic. Growing up, we always used to refer to that as cold-blooded. Right? They're cold-blooded, they can't regulate their body temperature, they're reliant on the external temperature. So we can use them in effect like a biological clock because their development is strictly dependent on the temperature of the environment in which they are raised. The second thing that really helps us out with forensic entomology is they have a skeleton on the outside of the body as opposed to ours, which is on the inside. As a result, like a crab, they have to crack the old one off and develop a new one, so they grow in very discrete steps. And every step is completely different from every other step, so they're much easier to identify. So in this case, what we did was we had insect evidence that was collected, and I analyzed the insect evidence to see approximately how long it would take for them to get to that stage that was found.
Okay, so if we can go back to December 5th of 2022, did you receive a telephone call in connection with this case?
I did.
And without telling us exactly what was said, did you speak with any members of law enforcement?
I did.
as a result of that conversation, did you give them any guidance with respect to collecting the specimen that you ultimately examined in this case?
I did.
And did that conversation discuss how, in fact, they were to do so?
Correct.
And was that in real time?
Correct.
When you were giving those instructions, ultimately, did you anticipate receiving a sample?
I did.
Did law enforcement tell you any particulars about the case other than that they were submitting a forensic insect sample to you?
They did not.
Okay. At some point, did you receive any photographs?
I did.
And did you have an opportunity to view those photographs?
I did.
Your Honor, I am not going to publish, but I'm just going to show the witness 1.1AA, which I am showing to counsel now. May I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize the segment of that photograph that is displayed in that photograph?
Yes.
Okay, you can just turn that down if that's okay.
Okay.
Was that one of the photographs or what you received?
I believe it was.
Okay. And can you tell the jury, when you received the photographs, did you ultimately receive also a, quote, live sample? Or not live, but processed sample, perhaps is a
I
better
received
phrasing.
a process sample, so they were all dead at the time, correct.
Okay. Can you tell the jury exactly how that sample gets to that condition?
Sure. So when, no, I can't say when I talked with somebody. So when I received that sample, what you always do with insect samples, especially if you have insect larvae, which are maggots, what we call them, the first thing you should always do is you should put them in boiling water. The reason you put them in boiling water is so then they don't start curling up and they're difficult to measure, they're difficult to identify. It kills a lot of the bacteria on them. Once they're done in the boiling water, you then put them into alcohol, which preserves them, and as long as they're preserved, they will last almost indefinitely. So those are the samples that I received, were the ones that were in preservative inside a jar.
And were they in a condition that was sufficient for you to examine and analyze them?
Yes.
For lack of being graphic, you indicated that they would curl up potentially. What condition do they remain in if they are processed in boiling water and subsequently placed into alcohol?
They will be very nice and straight and long, and so if anybody wants to measure them, they can measure them, and they're much, much easier to identify as well.
And that process, does it do anything with respect to their life cycle?
It stops it. So as soon as you put them in the boiling water, it kills them almost instantly, and that stops, again, what we call that biological clock. So that is the point from which we start to work backwards to figure out that time of colonization, when the insects first come to lay the eggs on those remains.
And do you know the portion of human remains from which this was recovered?
Could
sample.
you rephrase that?
Do you know where the maggots were recovered from that were provided to you by observing that photograph?
So the maggots that were recovered were collected from where the leg appeared to be separated from the rest of the body. In the photograph, you can see that there is extensive insect colonization, once again, insect larvae, what we call maggots, on that portion of the leg that is exposed.
Can you tell us what MPMI means?
Sure. So a minimum post-mortem interval estimate is what we really try to evaluate. A lot of people are under the misapprehension that we try to estimate a time of death. We don't. Really, medical doctors are ones that estimate what a time of death is. When we determine what our time of colonization is, so when those insects come and lay the egg on the body, that duration of time then, from that time of colonization to when they found the body, so what we always say, death to discovery, that's our minimum post-mortem interval estimate. So it's an interval, it's a length of time, and we always say minimum because we determine that the person has been deceased at least that long.
And in performing that analysis, would it be fair to say that that would have been when they would have been exposed to the actual insects to lay the eggs on the remains?
That's correct.
Now, when you received those photographs, tell the jury what you did with the photographs first.
So with the photographs, and I also believe what I did is I always look at the photographs, right? So the first thing you have to do is you have to look at the photographs, see if there's anything in that photograph that might not be in the sample, right? So once we get the sample, we always want to have the photographs so we can go back to the photographs and actually verify that there isn't some later stage observable in the photograph that wasn't collected at the scene.
So to be fair, I believe your testimony was that there were quite a bit of insect activity at that portion of, would it be fair to say, the thigh?
Correct.
Okay. And so would that demonstrate more than one maggot to look at visually with the naked eye for you to observe?
Absolutely.
And did you do that in the fashion you just described to determine if potentially there was a maggot at a different life cycle stage?
Correct.
So could they be growing at different rates?
Correct.
And did you ascertain and ensure that that information that you were looking at was accurate to what you observed?
Correct. So from the photograph that I have and the sample that I collected, I did not see any later stages in the sample as opposed to in the photograph.
Okay. And can you explain to the jury, when you received that, did that come also with the sample itself, the processed sample?
Sorry, could you restate that?
Did the photographs come to you separately, or did you get them all at the same time, if you know?
I believe I got them separately.
Okay. So you received the photographs and ultimately then received the sample?
Correct.
Okay. And when you received the sample, was the sample in a fashion that you could analyze it?
Correct.
Tell the jury what you did when you received the physical sample.
So when you receive the physical sample, the first thing you do is you have to identify what the insects are. You also have to know what the stage of the insect is. So the first process that we always do is we do what we call morphological identification. Fancy term, we put the insects under a microscope, and using a dichotomous key, we go through the different traits that the larvae have and identify them to species. We also wanted to be doubly sure that we knew what we had and it was the right species that we had keyed it out to, so we also did genetic analyses. And the genetic analyses did confirm what we found under the microscope.
When you say genetic analyses, would it be fair to say that's DNA?
It is correct.
And in this case, that would be the maggot DNA?
Correct.
So you looked at them first under a microscope, and then subsequently you actually took the DNA from the specimen that you received?
Correct.
And in this case, did you determine what species of insect you had before you?
Yes.
What type was it?
So it was a common blowfly that we have in this area, which is in insect order Diptera, family Califoridae, and the name is Lucilia sorulaviridi. Very difficult name to pronounce, literally translates as blue-green.
So that's the blowfly that you were describing?
Correct.
And in this case, was that the only species?
That was the only species. Everything we identified morphologically and genetically came out to that one single species.
Is that always the case?
It is not.
And in this case, did that make it in any way easier for you or harder?
It was actually easier because then we only need to construct one thermal summation model.
Okay, so based on the fact that there was just one species, you were able to do your model based only on that life cycle?
Correct.
Okay. And what is the typical life cycle for and I will not try to pronounce that scientific name, for the blowfly that you found here?
Yeah, so the blowflies, so those ones are very, very common in this area. In fact, all throughout South Georgia, that's probably the most common blowfly that we have. In many experiments that we've done personally in our lab, that tends to be the dominant blowfly. We can also find it through all seasons of the year. That fly will come, of course, you have males and females. They're sexual, they mate. The female then will come to the body. She will lay her egg on that body. The egg then hatches and goes through different larval instars. So those are the maggots, right? So first stage, what we call first instar. It then molts, goes to the second instar. Molts, goes to the third instar. Those are the big maggots. That's the last stage. After that, we get the pupal stage. That's like the cocoon of the butterfly. And then after the pupal stage, the adult fly comes out of that pupal stage.
Now, you've used the word molt when referencing the shifting from one phase to the other. Can you tell the jury what molting means?
Sure. So molting is basically cracking off that old exoskeleton and forming a new one underneath it. So they grow not gradually like we do, but very discrete steps and stages.
And can you actually see the difference of what they look like at each of those stages visually?
Correct, you can.
And can you then subsequently confirm that microscopically?
We do.
Did you in this case?
Yes, and that's how we actually identify or confirm the different ages, is microscopically.
Now, can you explain the scientific methodology that you utilized to arrive at your minimum post-mortem interval?
Sure, so there's really 4 different things that you need in order to determine what we call an MPMI, right? And we'll use that phrase for shorthand. You need to know the species of the insect. You need to know the age of the insect, so what instar is it? You need to know the temperature conditions of where that body was located. You then have to have somebody who has raised that particular species in the lab before to know how long it takes to get to those different stages at different temperatures. And then once you have those 4 things, you can build your thermal degree model to figure out what that time of colonization was, which of course leads to that MPMI estimate.
And in your analysis in this case, I believe you have already testified that you determined what type of insect it was.
Correct.
Did you then have the ability to make a determination as to the stage of life of these maggots that you received?
I did.
And what was that?
They were 3rd instars, the oldest stage. So there was multiple stages. There were 2nd instars and there were 3rd instars. So they were all maggots in that maggot stage.
Okay. And so at that point, when you determined the species and the age of the insects, did you do anything with respect to obtaining air temperatures and the climate surrounding their recovery?
I did. So I went online and got air temperatures for the closest weather station that was close to where the remains were found. I went to an online site called MesoWest. It's done by the Department of Atmospheric Sciences at the University of Utah. They basically take National Weather Service data, which is part of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. That is considered to be the best weather data that we have. I got the weather data from there and used that in my thermal summation model to figure out how long it would take the insects to develop to that stage.
And to be fair, you used the word estimate.
Correct.
Is forensic entomology able to give a precise moment of when an egg was laid on human remains?
And it is not. That's a lot of what we see on TV. You can't have an exact estimate because there's always variability associated with it. So every time we come up with a minimum postmortem interval, we always say that it's an estimate. It can, though, depending upon the situation, be pretty accurate, especially when there's no other methods that we can use to estimate what that postmortem interval is.
So would it be fair to say that when you provide an estimate, you give a range?
That's correct.
And is that range in hours, minutes, days? How does that work?
Because I do my thermal summation model in accumulated degree days, I tend to give my variation also in days.
Okay. And did you do that in this case as well?
I did.
Based on your analysis of the developmental stages of these insect species, what is your expert opinion regarding the minimum postmortem interval for the deceased?
Can I refer to my notes?
Actually, Your Honor, I may just approach first. I'm showing counsel 1.100. I'm going to hand you what is marked for that exhibit and ask you if you recognize that.
Perfect. Yes, and in fact, this is the same report that I brought with me today.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're working off of one that remains in the courtroom.
Correct.
What is that document that's in your hand?
This is the estimation of the minimum postmortem interval collected from the human remains that I always produce after I actually do an actual case for law enforcement.
And did you generate that report that you're holding 1.100?
Yes.
Is that a true, accurate, and complete copy of the report that you prepared?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I'd seek to tender 1.100.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted without objection.
Why do you do a report?
I do a report largely for situations like this when it may turn into something much larger than just wanting to know what the minimum postmortem interval is.
Okay.
For many of the cases that we do, it's families that might just seek closure knowing how long their deceased has been deceased. In other cases, it might turn into civil or criminal matters.
Okay. So in all of the cases that you handle, do you always testify?
I do not.
In fact, more often than not, do you testify or not?
More often than not, I do not.
Okay. Can you tell us in the course of your experience, approximately how many postmortem intervals you think you've estimated?
So at this point now, between cases that I've done reports for or just consulted on with other forensic entomologists, approximately 40 cases.
Okay. And did you have to follow those same procedures in every single step that you just described here?
For the ones that are generating reports, yes.
Okay. And now we had gotten to that question based on your analysis of the materials that you received in this case, both the photographs and the physical sample. What is your expert opinion regarding the minimum postmortem interval for the deceased?
So mathematically, when we calculate what that time of colonization is, it comes to November the 28th, 2022. Like I said, there's always a range associated with that, and the range is November 27th to 29th, 2022.
So your estimate includes the dates of November 27th, 28th, and 29th of 2022?
Correct.
Okay. So at that point, did you know when you generated that date from law enforcement exactly when her remains were recovered?
The only thing that I knew at that point was when the leg with the insects on it was recovered.
So you didn't know that her torso had been recovered on December 2nd of 2022?
That's correct.
Did you know that her other leg was recovered on December 3rd of 2022?
I did not.
Did you know that her head was buried?
I did not.
Did you even know that it was found?
I don't think I did.
Okay. And did anybody show you any video surveillance footage of a motor vehicle coming to that vicinity on November 29th of 2022?
No.
And the methods that you've described for your procedure here, are those the standard practices that are utilized by forensic entomologists across the country?
Yes, so determining species IDs or the identification of the species using a microscope, genetic analyses, that's standard procedure. Also, thermal summation models using accumulated degree days, using temperatures is standard procedure for the field.
If I can have just a moment. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Hi, Mr. Weinstein.
Good morning, Dr. Mondor.
Good morning.
My name is Doug Weinstein. I'm representing Mr. Kassotis in this case. I'd just like to ask you a few questions. In your report, Exhibit 1.100, I believe you have it in front of you, correct?
Correct.
You state that, let me see here, the average temperature of the environment that you found online was 15.7 degrees C during the 2 weeks prior to the discovery of the remains, correct?
Correct.
And you state that 22 degrees C is the closest insect rearing temperature available in the literature, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And what's that difference in temperature in degrees C?
That's a math question.
I'm sorry, if I said it was 6.3 degrees C, would that be about right?
I would agree to that.
Okay. And to turn that into American, that's about 11 degrees F, right?
That's possible.
Okay. So are your calculations based on that literature that showed it at 22 degrees C?
Correct.
Okay. How would your estimate, or could your estimate be different because it was 15.7 degrees C instead of 22?
So what we always do when we do a forensic entomology estimate is we always use the closest temperature, the closest rearing temperature to what that field temperature was. In this case, for this particular species, the closest rearing temperature that had been done previously to this field temperature was 22 degrees Celsius.
But it wasn't 22 degrees C at the site, correct? At the site where the leg was found.
Correct.
It was 15.7 degrees C, correct?
Correct.
And you could not find literature showing 15.7 degrees C.
That's correct.
So it's possible that your estimate could be off because 15.7 versus 22?
There's always variability, correct.
Okay. In addition, you write, and if I'm reading this wrong, just let me know, this ADD, that's average degree days, correct?
Could you point me to a
Sure.
particular page?
In that same analysis section of your report on page, I believe it's labeled page 5 of 7,
Okay.
that same section,
Mm-hmm.
near the bottom of the page,
Okay.
you state this ADD value is based on a fly population from a mixed hardwood forest in Oakwood, Georgia.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know where Oakwood, Georgia is?
I do. It's in North Georgia.
Right. It's near the Falcons training camp, I believe. So it's in North Georgia, and Oakwood. That's at a higher altitude than us here down on the coast, correct?
Correct.
It also says that it is from a mixed hardwood forest, correct?
Correct.
Do you know what the forest was like where the remains were found?
I do not.
If that forest were a pine forest or a planting of pine trees, that's different than a hardwood forest, correct?
It is.
Could the fact that the analysis that you had to reference was from a hardwood forest versus a pine forest, could that make a difference in colonization?
It would be unlikely.
What about the difference in altitude between Oakwood, Georgia and the coast?
You definitely get geographic differences between different fly populations in different species. Once again, what you always try to do is always try to use the data from a population that's as close to you as possible. In this case, the literature from Oakwood, Georgia was the closest fly population possible that we could use.
Does colonization, am I using the right term with colonization?
Correct.
Okay. Does the colonization vary depending on whether the remains were in the sun or in the shade?
It can.
And when you use that colonization information that you were able to find from Oakwood, Georgia, do you know whether that was performed in Oakwood in the sun or the shade?
So to clarify, this experiment that was done, this was a fly population that was collected from Oakwood, Georgia. The rearing was actually done in the laboratory. And I know this because I'm actually an author on that paper.
Okay. So but it does make a difference if it's sun or shade, correct?
It could.
Do you know whether the leg was found in the sun or the shade?
I don't.
So you didn't factor that into your analysis, correct?
That's correct.
And you may have referenced this earlier, so I apologize if I'm repeating what you've already testified. Can the colonization be delayed if the body was wrapped or in plastic or buried?
Correct.
And how might that affect the colonization?
So if you have a body that is wrapped or buried or somehow restricts access of the insects to that body, that could definitely delay the colonization. That is the main reason we always construct a minimum postmortem interval to say that the person has been deceased at least that long.
And again, your estimate is also based on the location where the remains were found. If the remains were moved, then your estimate might be different. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay, and just to repeat what you've already, I think, have been clear on, but I want to make sure it's clear.
Okay.
Well, your minimum post-mortem interval, that is an estimate to the best of your ability, correct?
That's correct.
That is not exact.
That's correct.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
You gave a range, right, Doctor?
Correct.
Does that range account for some of the variability that counsel is asking you questions about?
It does. So it will account for things like certain weather conditions, if there's flies in the area, how close the flies were, anything that might restrict it. So it always is a range, right? As we say, we can't have an exact time, but yes, there's definitely a range.
And that 3-day period, is that what builds in that range?
It does, with assuming all of the variables that we have and the best information that we have at the time.
I have nothing further.
Anything else?
Briefly, does that range account for all of the differences that we discussed today? For example, the change in altitude, the different location of where the study is found, the temperature difference between the study and at the remains, the possibility of the remains being wrapped, the possibility of the remains being moved.
If they had been wrapped or moved, then it would not be in that variation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Nothing further.
All right. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay.
You're good. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
The steakhouse Morgan Paddock.
Good morning. Yeah. If you would please, before you have a seat, if you would please raise your right hand and face the clerk.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you would please have a seat, and if you will position yourself where you're closer to that microphone, that'll help us hear you. Thank you.
Could you state your name, please?
Morgan Paddock,
Could you please spell your name for the court reporter?
Morganpaddock,
Ms. Paddock, where do you live?
in Savannah, Georgia.
Ordinarily, I don't ask witnesses for a precise address. In this case, the precise address is important. Where do you live?
1130 East 68th Street.
How long have you lived there?
About 5.5 years.
How are you employed?
I work at a church.
What's your job at the church?
I'm a local outreach director,
Now, what is that church?
a community Bible church.
And what does your position require you to do?
I work with families in the community, working with kids after school programs, tutoring, mom's discipleship, and getting people in the church connected to local ministry partners that serve the community.
And how long have you done that?
5.5 years.
Are you involved with any nonprofit organizations in the area?
Yes, I work with lots of different nonprofits, from PAC, working with kids. All of our ministry partners are nonprofits that we work with the church. So everything from helping kids with food to mentoring kids in the community, numerous things.
Are you married?
I am.
Do you have children?
I have a stepson.
I'm I'm going to show you a photograph. State's exhibit number 2.32. And ask if you're familiar with the person depicted in that photograph.
I am.
How do you know that person?
That's my friend Mindi. We met in youth group when I was in high school.
What's Mindy's last name?
Kassotis.
Does this photograph fairly and accurately depict Mindy when she was alive?
Yes, it does.
Well, I'll tender this time. State's exhibit number 2.32.
Is it new?
Now, how long did you know Mindy?
I met Mindi at the end of 1996, beginning of 1997.
How did you meet?
We were in youth group together at a church in Covington, Louisiana. So we were in Bible studies, youth choir, youth trips, things like that.
You described her as a close friend?
She was a close friend.
Okay. When did your friendship begin, the close friendship between the two of you?
Well, in high school and youth group, we did everything together. On the weekends, we hung out. We were on the trips together. She was a year younger than me, so I graduated a year before her. And I would say we were close friends then, but we became closer after she moved to Savannah.
Where did you go to high school together?
I went to Mandeville High School, and she went to Fontainebleau High School, so we were rival high schools.
But same general area?
Yes.
What town was that?
Mandeville, Louisiana.
When did you get married?
I have been married twice. My first marriage was in 2007 in Louisiana.
And did Mindy attend that wedding?
She did come in for that wedding.
Are you familiar with the person to whom she later married?
Yes, I did meet him.
What's that person's name?
Nick Kassotis.
How many times did you meet that person?
I only actually met him one time because we were supposed to go to their wedding, and it was the same weekend as Hurricane Matthew hit Savannah, and so we were unable.
So you had planned to attend her wedding but couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
When was that wedding?
That would have been in October. I think it was, oh gosh, when did Matthew hit? October of 2016.
Would you recognize Nick Kassotis if you saw him?
Yes, I would.
Do you see him in the courtroom?
I do.
Would you please point to that person? And Your Honor, if you'll let the record reflect, she has identified the defendant.
It does. Did
Mindi and the defendant ever have occasion to visit you here in Savannah?
One time, I believe they were visiting, they had family that lived in Hilton Head area, and so they were close to Savannah, and they popped in the summertime.
Now, you earlier described that your friendship became closer as the friendship developed over time. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Would the two of you talk about important personal matters in your lives?
All the time, yes.
And each consider the other as a good and close personal friend?
Yes, correct.
Would you share your deepest feelings with each other?
We would.
When Mindi was no longer in your immediate presence and you would have to communicate long distance, how would you typically communicate with her?
Well, there's two different times where we were in long distance with each other. So after I moved away from Savannah, when she moved there in college, we would text or call occasionally. After she got married, we would text or call, but then there became a point where we were only allowed to communicate on the Signal app.
What did Mindi share with you about why it was important to communicate that way?
Because it was important that our conversations not be intercepted or able to be read by anyone, because there were dangerous people that were after her and Nick, and it was a protection level to make sure that our conversation stayed private.
Did she tell you about the anticipation of receiving a large amount of money?
Yes, she said that Nick was involved in some sort of software development, and that when it sold, it was going to be for a large sum of money, and it was life-changing money, like money that she could not wait to do good with. But it was always, someday when this money comes, these are the things that I want to do.
Did she mention to you anything about a security team?
Yes, there was a security team that she always talked about Nick talking to the security team, and the security team told Nick. She told me that they had to have video surveillance van outside down the street. Nick could never leave the house without a security detail with him. They had to have, there were often meetings with the security team to just talk about their safety and what the protocols were.
How did you learn about her death?
I learned about her death because a friend of mine had reached out to me in February of 23 and asked me if I had heard from Mindi, and it had been some time that I had heard from her because she said that they might have to go dark for security reasons and that she would reach out to me when she was safe again. She called and asked me if I had heard from Mindi or heard anything of Mindi, because a mutual friend of hers had called and said that Nick had called him and said that Mindi had died. And I didn't understand, couldn't find anything about it. And then on May the 12th of 2023, my friend texted me and said, I have some sad news, and she sent me the GBI article identifying Mindi's body.
After learning about her death, what did you do? Did you reach out to the GBI?
I did, because as I was talking with Mindi through Signal app, there were a couple of times where I thought it was against my better judgment, but there were just some crazy things being said that I felt like I needed to screenshot just in case anything ever happened to her and Nick, that I would be able to give someone something. And so I had a few screenshots of conversations that I reached out to share.
After her death, did you determine where Mindi was living before her death?
Yes.
Where was that?
3 streets down from me,
Do you remember the street?
65th Street,
And that's how far away from where you lived?
0.8 miles from my front door.
And during the entire time that she lived here in Savannah, did she ever contact you and let you know she was living here?
I didn't know she was here.
Is that unusual?
Yes, it would be unusual, except that one, if she thought she was in danger, she would never put me in danger. Because I knew that she said that she had to go dark. I knew that she would reach out and trusted she would reach out when she felt safe. So I'm not surprised that she didn't reach out. It just tells me that it wasn't in a place that she felt like she could yet.
After learning of her death, did you drive by where she lived?
I did, but ironically, I drive by that house all the time anyway.
I'm showing you what's already been admitted into evidence, the State's Exhibit 2.27. Do you recognize this house?
I do.
What is this house?
It's 311 East 65th Street.
Where Mindi lived?
Mm-hmm.
I'm showing you now what's marked as State's Exhibit number 2.47. Do you recognize what that is?
That is the route between my house to where she was living.
And it shows where you live and shows where she lives?
Yes, sir.
Does it fairly and accurately depict the route between your house and her house?
That's exactly.
I move to admit State's Exhibit number 2.47.
Any objection?
No objection.
This is moved.
That's all the questions that I have.
Good morning, Ms. Paddock. I'm Doug Weinstein. I represent Nick Kassotis in this case. Mindi insisted to you that you use the Signal app to communicate with her, correct?
Correct.
And again, why did she say that you must communicate over Signal?
For security reasons.
So Mindi told you that their lives were in danger, correct?
Correct.
And she had to communicate over Signal in order to keep her safe, correct?
Correct.
Did Mindi ever lie to you?
Not to my knowledge.
Mindi told you that Nick Kassotis couldn't leave the house without security, correct?
Correct.
Mindi told you that she had meetings with Nick's security team?
Not that she had meetings. Nick was always the one that was meeting with people.
Okay.
Everything was Nick said, Nick said.
But Mindi told you that she was in genuine fear of her life and of Nick's life, correct?
Yes, she did.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you.
Anything else, counsel? No. All right. Thank you, ma'am. You're excused. You can, please.
Your Honor, at this time, the state calls Samantha Kolesnik to the stand.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you would, please, raise your right hand and face the clerk, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please have a seat. And you see that microphone there?
Yes.
If you would try to sit close to that so
Yes.
we can hear you.
Ma'am, can you please tell the court reporter your full name and how you spell it?
Yes. My full name is Samantha Kolesnik. Should I spell my first name too? Spell my first name Last name is Kolesnik.
I'm going to ask you if you have any trouble at any time and you need to take a moment, just let us know, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Can you tell us, without giving us an exact address, where do you live?
I live in the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay. And can you tell us just a town? Or rather the area? What's the big city near there?
Lancaster County,
Okay.
near Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
And what do you do for work now?
I work full-time at a software company, a technology company.
Okay. And do you do anything on the side to earn money?
I do. I do various artistic endeavors. I write books. Sometimes I make independent films.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Many years now. I mean, over 5 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you doing that back in 2022?
Yes.
Okay. And does that writing of books and work that you described, does that give you an online presence?
Yes.
Would that be how you try to sell or distribute some of those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you published?
Yes.
How many books have you published?
I think 4, and then I've had short fiction published in many different books, many different anthologies.
You done any movies?
Yes, but nothing big, just little independent films.
Okay.
Yeah.
But your work has gained some traction?
Yes, I'd say a small following. Nothing. I'm not like a big known person or anything like that. No.
Okay. What type of genre do you write?
Mainly horror, fiction. Some people call it like dark fiction and horror. Those kinds of stories.
Okay. And can you tell the jury what is a pen name?
A pen name is, in a general sense, just a name somebody might use to write books that's not their real name, that's not their their legal name, on their ID.
Is that common in the author community?
Very common.
Okay. So when you were selling books, did you sell them online as well?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that capacity, did you have occasion to meet an individual that went by the name of Nick Stark?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury how you first became acquainted with Nick Stark?
In late September 2022, I had a public Twitter, it was then called Twitter, profile to where, as an author, to where I sometimes sold books, and I had sent a public tweet saying that I was selling signed books on my website, and Nick Stark, he had I think it was the username either Nick Morfox or KJ Stark at that time in Twitter. He messaged me to let me know that he had bought 4 of my books, like all 4 that were for sale. Yeah.
Okay. Is that the first time that you met him?
Well, I didn't even meet him at that time. It was the first time that, he was directly communicating to me online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the first communication, even if it wasn't a face-to-face meeting?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you said there was a Twitter named KJ Stark.
Yeah, he had several different Twitter names, so I can't be positive which it was, but it was either Nick Morfox, which I believe was his pen name, or KJ Stark. I believe it would be one of those 2.
Okay. And at that time that you first interacted with him, did you ultimately have the ability to recover those tweets and provide them to law
Yes.
enforcement? Okay. So they're here and available for you, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Did you learn whether or not he was also writing?
He told me he was a writer. I don't know to what extent. I don't think he had been published as of yet, or maybe he had a short story or 2 published. I think he was a short fiction writer primarily.
Do you know what kind of genre he wrote?
The same, to my knowledge, horror, dark fiction.
So initially, you said you met him by way of digital message online in late September of 2022.
Yes.
Did that conversation continue after you first interacted with him on the purchase of your books?
Yes.
Tell the jury how that progressed in terms of the conversation.
Yeah, well, the messages were not a whole lot at first. At first, I really didn't even understand why he felt the need to message me, because a lot of people don't message when they buy books, they just buy it. But, I said, thank you for buying my books, something to that effect. And then he just he messaged again, and he just kept messaging. And then we just started engaging in small talk, off and on through October, but not a whole lot of messages at that time. Very light conversation, I would say, in October of 2022, and all on Twitter direct messages.
So those conversations were all online, nothing in person?
Correct.
Okay. Did that time period between September and October of 22 ever graduate to phone calls?
Not in October, to my knowledge. I think the first time we had a phone call was in November of 2022.
Okay. So at some point it progressed from text messages to the actual phone?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And when you spoke with him over the phone, do you remember, you said that was in November, you believe?
Yes,
Okay.
November 2022.
Did the relationship change from light banter at any point to something more romantic?
I think so, yeah. It became, flirtatious and more, I'd say, emotionally charged.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would that be part of what ultimately yielded phone calls?
Yeah, absolutely. Mhm.
Okay. Did there come a time when you met him in person for the first time?
I met him in person for the first time December 16th, 2022.
Okay. And where did you meet him?
In Pennsylvania.
So he came to you?
That's correct.
Okay. At that point, did you know why he was in Pennsylvania?
Well, he said that he was taking a long drive for a work trip to Missouri, and then he said that he could drive from Missouri from his work trip. He said he was working in legal compliance to Pennsylvania, and he also said that he would end up in Delaware because he was working on a big merger and acquisition, and they were having that in Delaware, which would be, Delaware is very close to Pennsylvania. It's a short drive away.
Did you know where he lived at the time in December of 2022?
He said he was living in Georgia.
Okay, so it was your understanding he was going from Georgia to Missouri, and then from Missouri down to Delaware, and he'd stop by you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say stop by because it's quite out of the way. He said yes, he was driving from Georgia to Missouri because he had something for work that he had to do. And he was driving because he had his dog with him, named Rusty, just a big dog, and I'm sorry, I don't know the breed. And then he said that he would love to meet me, and he would drive, since he was already on the road, from Missouri to Pennsylvania. I did push back and say that's a big drive. I don't know, that's a lot of expectation. It feels like when somebody drives that long of a distance, and he paraphrasing here, he basically said, I'm going to, drive out to see you, and I want to meet you, and, if you don't like me, I'll just drive back. He made it very, he persisted and, made it very, low pressure from my point of view.
Okay. Now at that point, would it be fair to say you had met him at the end of September? How long, I say met, online?
Talked online. Mm-hmm.
How long had it been since you started talking to him to when he came to your place, December 16th? Approximately.
I'm not sure I understand. That was the time frame. So he started talking to me online, Twitter direct messages in September, and then the first time that I ever met him in person was December 16th.
Okay, so about 2 months roughly?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, what was your marital status?
I was separated. I'd already filed for divorce and moving from my marital home to my own home at that time. And I moved in November of 2022.
Okay. And in that time, before you met Mr. Stark, were you concerned that you had met him online?
Yes, yes, I was. And I had, even asked him, about that and said that I was concerned because I was newly single and, living basically alone. And, he had provided some documentation to me, I think, to, kind of comfort me and assure me that, he was who he said he was. He sent selfies, he sent some other documents as well, just to verify his identity, and it did comfort me that I thought he was who he said he was.
Okay. Did you ask for his driver's license?
Yes, I did.
Did he send it?
Yes,
Did you ask for something from his employment?
I did at one point, but I did not ask for that then. I asked for that later.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you ultimately receive both the driver's license and his employment verification, for lack of a better way to phrase that?
Yes, I received a copy of his driver's license, which said Nicholas Stark on it, like a photocopy. I received an employment verification letter from the company he said he was working at. Should I say the other things that I received
Let's
to
just stop
verify?
there for a moment.
Okay.
I'm going to approach, Your Honor, if that's okay, and show the witness what I have physically marked as 1.84 and 1.86. I'm going to show them on the teleprompter after, but you will have a copy here. You'll be able to also see them on the screen.
Should I look at them?
Yes,
or-
please do.
Okay.
Do you recognize 1.84, the first document I handed you?
Yes.
What do you recognize that to be?
This would be the employment verification letter from the company he said he was working at.
Okay. And is that a exact duplicate of the document that you received? Just a copy?
I believe so, yes.
At this time, I'd seek to tender 1.84.
Any objection? No objections. Submitted.
And 1.86, the next document in your hand, do you recognize that?
Yes.
What do you recognize that to be?
This is a photocopy of his driver's license, which says Nicholas Killian Stark on it.
Okay. And what state is that from?
Georgia.
And do you recognize that to be the document that he sent you of his driver's license?
Yes.
At this time, I'd seek to tender 1.86 as well.
Any objection? It is admitted.
You can hold those right there.
Oh,
At
okay.
this time, Your Honor, I'd like to publish 1.84.
You may.
Does that reference a company name of APIS? APIS?
Yes.
And if I scroll to the bottom here, does it indicate also when Mr. Stark began working at APIS Limited?
Yes.
And when was that?
It says February 12th, 2018.
Does it also indicate to you an email address at the very bottom where you could contact if there were questions?
Yes.
And what was the @ portion of that?
apislimited.com.
I'm now going to turn your attention to the driver's license. If we can probably turn it off in between. Thank you. I'm now publishing 1.86. One moment. There you go. Is that the copy of the Georgia driver's license you received?
Yes.
And that was a name of Nicholas Killian Stark on there, correct?
Yes.
Does it say the expiration date on that top right side?
Yes, it says June 3rd, 2030.
And was that a photograph of Mr. Stark?
Yes.
As you knew him?
Yep, yes.
Thank you.
Although I will say I don't think he had the beard when I met him, so that difference.
Okay.
Yep.
So he sent you those two documents at varying times, and you believe that he was Nick Stark? Is that
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. Did he use any other names? I know you said he used that pen name. Was that Nick Moorfox?
Yeah, I believe he had the pen name Nick Moorfox that he published short fiction under.
Okay.
That was like his author pen name.
Do you know if he had changed his name in any other way?
No.
Those are the only two names that you knew.
That's correct. I mean, he had the other username KJ Stark, but he told me his he had two middle, like Killian James was like his full, like, yeah. So I just assumed that that was the KJ Stark.
Okay.
But no, he never told me he had another last name different than Stark.
Did you ever know the name Nicholas James Kassotis?
No.
Now, you indicated that at the time, you were in the process of a divorce. You'd already been separated. Did you know Mr. Stark's marital status?
I believed I had. He told me that he was a widower, and that he had lost his wife and his unborn child about 2 years prior, and that they had both died in a hospital.
And he told you that when?
He told me that, he first referenced that his wife had passed away in October of 2022 in Twitter direct messages.
He told you that in October of 2022?
Yes, in on Twitter in the direct messages.
Did you subsequently determine that that was not correct? Meaning, did you find out from law enforcement that that was not the case?
Oh, I found out from law enforcement that that was not the case on the date of his arrest, and that was not until May 2023.
So when you first met KJ Stark via tweet, that was communicated to you through a tweet?
So the tweets are like public, but we were communicating through the Twitter direct messages or like private messages, like similar to like if you were talking just like a text message, but just on Twitter.
Okay. I'm going to try and make this a little bit easier. Your Honor, I have 1.93, 1.94, 1.95, sequentially through 1.99. So 1.93 through 1.99. May I? Yes, sir. Now, I'm actually going to put these up on the screen, if I may, Your Honor, so I'll seek to tender them first. I'm going to hand you exhibits 1.93 through 1.99. Can you just take a look at them and tell us if you recognize them?
I do.
Are those a fair and accurate depiction of what you provided to law enforcement in conjunction with this case?
Yes. I believe I provided more than this too, but yes, these I did provide. Mhm.
Okay. And are those just exact duplicates of what you've turned over, just not in color?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I seek to introduce 1.93 through 1.99.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, they're all admitted. It's a total of 7 exhibits, but they are admitted without objection.
I'm now going to open and publish Exhibit 1.93, Slide 1. Would it be fair to say that that's what you have in front of you is 1.93?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to scroll in here. Can you see the name of the tweet that was sent from to you?
Yes, it's KJ Stark.
Okay. And is that what you were referring to earlier when you referenced late September first speaking with Mr. Stark?
That's correct.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that here you have sort of an announcement on the public page about you selling the books?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And as a result, is that why, or when you received rather, the response from Mr. Stark concerning the purchase of the books that you were selling?
Yeah, so what he's done here is he took like my public tweet and he kind of like quote tweeted in a message and then wrote his message beneath it. Yep.
Would that be the message that he sent to you?
Yes.
And when was that sent?
September 24th, 2022.
And in that post that he sent to you, did he offer to communicate with you?
Yes, he did.
And if you look at the top of this post, was he aware that you were going through a divorce at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result, did you respond?
Yes, I did.
And you indicated earlier that that's not common. Is that correct?
It does happen sometimes. Sometimes people want to let you know they're buying your books, but it is not the majority of cases. No, I wouldn't say it's common.
Okay. So I'm now going to go to number 7. That would be 1.94. Just so we're clear, the gray writing and the pink writing that is displayed on the screen, who is the gray writing?
The gray writing is Nick.
And the pink?
That's me.
Okay. And just if we could look specifically at this first paragraph.
Yes.
Does he reference there specifically about losing his wife?
Yes, he does.
Okay, so if I were to read the line, in the last 3 years, I moved a couple times, learned pretty much everything I thought about myself was not true, and had my wife pass away. Is this what you were referring to?
Yes.
And when was this ultimately received by you?
October 18th, 2022.
And at that time, did you believe his wife was dead?
Yes.
Did he subsequently tell you that his wife also had been pregnant at the time she passed?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did he indicate at any time that he was in any other relationship or just that that one had expired? Meaning the relationship had ended, that she had passed?
He never indicated that he was in any kind of relationship with any kind of romantic relationship with anybody.
Did you know if he had another wife that preceded the wife you just referenced?
No.
Okay. So at that time, you thought that the only time he had been married was to the woman he described on October 18th?
Yes.
Okay. Did he say how she died initially?
Yes, he said that she died in a hospital and that blood pressure complications and possibly an undiagnosed heart condition as well.
I'm now showing you the next slide. That would be 1.95. Can you read us that paragraph starting "she had"?
She had an undiagnosed heart issue that was aggravated by her pregnancy, very sudden change in the way I thought life would look, but doing my best now to figure it out.
So he told you that in this tweet?
In this private message, yep, on Twitter.
What day did he tell you that?
October 22nd, 2022.
Did you know that his current wife was alive on that date at that time?
No.
And he described it as a very sudden change. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Did he mention if they had children? Other than that she was pregnant when she passed?
No other children, just that she was pregnant and that she lost he lost both her and the unborn child is what he told me, and that he had no other children. No.
Okay. Did him telling you that his wife had passed impact your trust of Mr. Stark?
It definitely impacted me. It made me feel very sad and bad for him, because that's a terrible thing that could happen to somebody, you know, to lose your wife and an unborn child. That's how I felt at the time. I felt bad for him.
Okay. Did you convey that to him?
Yes, I felt empathy, because that's when I thought he had lost his wife and unborn child.
Did that also facilitate you continuing to chat with him?
I did continue to chat with him, yes.
And did that then progress to that more flirtatious and romantic stage that you described for the jury?
I would say more like emotional at first, because I had lost somebody close to me too, you know, I thought too at the time. So more emotional, and then eventually flirtatious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, at some point, you said in December, he came to visit you. You had just moved, is that right?
I had moved in November. Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
So just like about a month prior.
Okay. And when he came to visit, did he stay with you in December of 2022?
No.
Why not?
Well, for one, I wouldn't have somebody stay with me just meeting them. And then two, he had Rusty, his dog, with him, and my house, I rent, and they don't allow pets.
Okay.
They don't allow like any pets in the place.
Okay. And so, do you know where he was staying when he came in December?
When he came in December, I believed he was at an Airbnb in
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
Well, was your understanding, if I'm correct, that he was going to Missouri,
Mhm.
he was going to visit you, and then he was going to Delaware? Is that right?
I think he was going to go back to Georgia first because that was his home, but he did tell me he would have to live for several months in Delaware because that's where he'd be working for the merger acquisition that he was the point person on. That was my understanding.
Okay. Did he move to Delaware, as far as you know?
I thought, that his company was putting him up in Delaware.
Okay.
Not that he had moved there, but that his company was providing long-term housing while he worked on this merger and acquisition.
Did you know if he had moved to Pennsylvania at some point after his Delaware trip?
I don't think he ever permanently moved to Pennsylvania. He stayed at Airbnbs in Pennsylvania when he was visiting me.
Let me be more clear.
Okay.
Was he staying in Pennsylvania in some location at some point while the time period from December forward in 2022?
From December forward, to my knowledge, he was spending the work time in Delaware, and then he would spend some weekends in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
When he wasn't working in Delaware.
Okay. So as far as you knew, he was commuting basically from Delaware and staying back at the Airbnb in Pennsylvania.
Yes, that was my understanding. Yeah.
Okay. And when that was occurring, would it be fair to say what months?
I met him in December. It would have been, the last half of December,
Okay.
January, February, March, April of 2023, and then that first half or so of May 2023 until the day he was arrested.
Okay. So during all that time, you weren't living together.
No, we were not. We never moved in together. We did stay at the same Airbnb, some Airbnbs that he
Okay.
rented together.
Okay. And at that point, you said that the relationship grew and it became a romantic relationship, correct?
Yes.
Did there come a time when he described to you the process of moving and what had happened with his belongings?
Yes, he told it like an anecdote in Twitter direct messages, I believe, about how he had moved previously, and some of his things I think were water damaged in a moving pod, like a storage pod.
Okay, I'm now going to turn to 1.96. Would it be fair to say that sometime in early November you were talking about your move with him?
Yes.
Okay, and that's when he made the quip about his belongings?
Yes.
So I'm directing your attention to Exhibit 1.96, the paragraph that states, I highly recommend putting 85% of your belongings in a pod for a year that is defective and not actually watertight if you want help downsizing. Is that what you were referring to?
Yes.
And as a result of that, did you believe that he just didn't have a lot of things?
I believed that some of his things had been damaged. I don't know that I had a real image of how many things he had at that point.
Okay.
But that he had lost things, yeah.
Quite a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, those conversations and those tweets at the time, would it be fair to say that they were pretty innocuous? You didn't think very much about any of it, other than just banter?
Yeah, I'd say from that first message in September through October, and you can even notice in October sometimes there's gaps in days to where before I would respond, and probably even the first part of November, yeah, it felt very, very light, and then it picked up frequency, and I'd say emotional resonance. Yeah.
Okay. And at some point, did he talk to you about his work and moving and things of that nature?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to direct you to slide number 20. That for you would be 1.97. Would it be fair to that some of these got very personal?
Yes.
Can you tell us what he told you about his upbringing?
He told me that he had a very horrible upbringing, that he was abused. Should I tell you just what's on this, or what he told me later in general?
I'm just referring to
just this, that he had a bad abusive upbringing, and that he found out late in life, as an adult, that he had been adopted, and that his parents, who he thought were his parents, were not his actual biological parents.
Did you believe that?
Yes.
Now, in the weeks coming up to him visiting you in December, were there communications?
Yes.
I'm going to turn your attention to slide Exhibit 1.98.
Mm-hmm.
This is slide 22. Do you see where he references in the second paragraph, I'm trying to get a bit ahead on work so I can spend the next few weeks traveling. Did he indicate to you exactly where he planned on going? You can read that to us if that makes it easier.
let's see, he said, I'm trying to get a bit ahead on work so I can spend the next few weeks traveling. I'll still be working, but like to have a little built-in cushion on projects when dealing with the vagaries of Wi-Fi on the road. Going to spend this weekend in Virginia, then New York, then on to New England until after Thanksgiving. So hopefully going to spend a little time poking around and seeing how a few spots feel in terms of life there. Seems like a better use of my time than the 45 Zillow emails I wake up to every morning.
So it was your understanding that in the weeks leading up to this email or text on November 8th that he was traveling?
That is correct, and this would have been far before the Missouri trip, he told me. And he told me, I don't know about like what he was doing in these places, but he did say that he met with one of his his biological father's lawyers during this time, I think was something he said in terms of that trip.
So at this point, you didn't have any reason to believe that he was homebound and couldn't leave his residence, right?
No.
I'm turning your attention to slide number 1.99. Would it be fair to say that this is also in November?
Yes.
Okay. And these were all leading up to the time period when he was coming to visit you? Or, well, I should say, when you were developing a relationship?
Yes. At this time, he had never, we were not even talking about, we had not talked about a visit that I can remember.
Okay.
That didn't come up till December.
Okay. So on November 10th, that last paragraph, can you read that for us?
Tomorrow, so I had asked, when do you leave, in the previous message, and he says, tomorrow afternoon, going to get on the road a little early and hopefully miss the traffic. I always say that I'm going to sit down and come up with a list of things I need to pack and just save it so I can print it out every time and have the basic things figured, but I never have managed.
So as far as you knew, on November 10th, he told you he was going to be going on a road trip November 11th of 2022.
Yes, that's correct.
And still at that point, he never told you that he was unable to leave his residence, correct?
No, he never said he was unable to leave any residence.
Okay. Now, during your relationship, you indicated that at some point you shifted to some phone communication. Is that
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever use something called Signal app?
We did not use the Signal app to
Okay.
communicate.
Okay. Are you familiar with it?
I am. Mhm.
Okay. But you didn't use that?
We didn't use it to communicate, no. And I didn't use it at that time, no.
What about Proton email?
I knew he used Proton email because I think I saw it on some of the emails. I did not use Proton email. I had actually not, I didn't even know about Proton email until I saw it like in one of his emails, like I can't remember what you call that, the @.com. Yeah.
Okay. But he didn't require you to use that with him?
No.
Okay. Can you tell the jury, in late November, when you and he had just started talking, did anything happen to your vehicle?
Yes.
Tell the jury what happened.
I had a flat tire on my
Okay.
car in November.
Okay. And did that prove to be problematic in any way?
I mean, just as problematic as a flat tire, would be to anyone. I was, moving, and then it definitely was like a hassle, yeah.
Timing not so convenient?
Yeah, and I'm very bad with cars, so
Okay.
car trouble stresses me out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did Mr. Stark offer to assist in any way?
He did.
What did he do?
He offered, and keep in mind we had never met, and he offered like via messages, because we were talking on WhatsApp at that time. He offered to fix the flat. He had said that he could have my car towed to a repair shop and have the flat tire fixed.
And did he do that for you?
He did, and I was very surprised.
Okay.
Yes.
At that point, I believe your first communication was October 18th of 2022. Be fair to say that that was some approximately to 4 weeks later?
Our first communication was September
My apologies.
2022, and then I'm sorry, what was the second half of that?
How long had you known him before he had your tire fixed?
I mean, I wouldn't even say that I knew him at that time. I'd been messaging him online for, it would have been a month and a half to 2 months, somewhere in that range.
What did
Yeah.
he have done for your car?
Okay, so he told me he was only going to fix the flat tire at the repair shop. When I got to the repair shop, my friend took me to pick up my car, I was very surprised because the clerk at the repair shop, he said that Nick had paid for 4 new tires and 2 new bulbs on the front headlights. I'm not 100% certain that's what it was called, but he did some kind of repair or something to the front headlights. I think it was new bulbs. Yeah.
Did you determine how much that cost?
It was a big bill. I mean, what I would consider big. It was like, I think it was $600 and something in that range. Yeah.
Was that concerning to you?
Yes.
What did you do as a result?
I felt a mix of feelings. I felt grateful as you do when somebody does something kind for you, but it also felt like a lot, and it already felt like a lot just to have somebody fix your my tire for me, and then the surprise of that it was 4 new tires and then like a bulb change or something. It was just a lot. It was a lot to the point that the clerk at the car shop, he said something like, "Is that your husband or is that your boyfriend? He is so nice." And I said, "No." I said, "He's just an acquaintance, you know."
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have a conversation with him about that? Boundaries?
I first talked to some friends about it just to get their opinion because it was such a big gift.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did talk to him and I said that was too much. That was a lot. You said it was going to be 1 tire, then you did 4. That's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in response to that conversation, well, let me be clear. Do you remember when you had that problem with your tire?
It was November of 2022. I do not remember the exact date.
Okay. Was it beginning of November, end of November, if you recall?
I think it was the last half of November of 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
And after you had the conversation with him about boundaries and too much, what did he do?
He had this sort of like, he apologized, he kind of played it off, and he said this endearing thing kind of to where he's just like, "I'm so sorry, you're right, that was an odd gift, most guys, I've just been he said something like, I've been out of practice for a while, and here I am like thinking that he's been, grieving for 2 years. And he's like, I've just been out of practice, I haven't dated. He's like, I just wanted to do something nice for you. He's like, but yeah, you're right, tires. He's like, come on, like what guy gives a girl tires? He's like, it should have been flowers, right? Or something. And I said, yeah, flowers would have been more appropriate, than the 4 new tires. And then it kind of became like a little, it's like that conversation changed it from something that felt alarming at first to something that felt like, oh, okay, like he hasn't been dating for a while and he went overboard, you know what I mean? He must like me, and he went a little overboard in showing that. And it then became a little bit of an in joke throughout our relationship. He'd be like, oh, the tires, yeah, like what kind of guy gives a girl he's dating tires? That was so stupid of me, like that kind of thing he used to say. Yeah.
Did he subsequently give you flowers the following week?
Yes, about a week later, he had a very nice bouquet of flowers, like hand delivered to me, my house, yeah.
Was that still in late November?
I believe so. If it wasn't late November, then it would have been probably the first week in December, but I think it was about a week after that, the tire repair. Yeah.
At some point, did you and Mr. Stark get engaged?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall when that was?
It was April or no, I'm sorry, we got engaged. The reason I said April, we got married in April. We got engaged in February of 2023.
Do you remember the date?
I don't.
Okay.
I want to forget the date. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's February.
Okay. So at some point in February of 2023, you get engaged. And then did you ultimately apply to get married?
Yes.
Can you tell us, prior to getting married, did you have to fill out paperwork for that?
Yes, he filled out the paperwork. And I think it was an online application.
Okay. And as a result, at this time, I'm going to show her 1.92. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
What is that?
This is the marriage license application that was submitted for our marriage.
Okay. And do you recognize that to be just a photocopy of the original?
Yes.
At this time, I would seek to introduce I believe, is that 9.2?
No objection.
It's admitted.
Can we please publish that? Thank you. And does that reference your names at the top of that?
Yes.
And was it required to indicate how many marriages this was for you?
Yes.
And does it indicate how many it was for Mr. Stark?
Yes.
And what was that?
He wrote that it was his second.
Did he indicate how his last marriage ended?
Yes.
And how was that?
Death,
And did he give a date of her death?
December 1st, 2020.
And this was issued when?
April 13th, 2023.
Did it reference the names of his parents?
Yes, this is who he said were his biological parents. Edward Williams as his father, living in the UK, and Susan Fox, living in California, as his mother.
Did you understand that to be who he claimed were which parents, the adopted or the biological?
Biological parents that he had connected with and found out, later in life, yeah, as an adult. That's who I thought they were.
Does this also reflect the date that it was initially filed?
Yes, April 10th, 2023.
And did both you and Mr. Stark have to sign that document?
Yes.
And did you?
Yes.
Those are both of your signatures?
Yes.
Okay. And that, of course, is your name also at the top, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now, did you subsequently actually get married?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that was also sometime in April?
Yes, that was in April 2023, I believe, late April.
Okay. And prior to getting married, did you and Mr. Stark discuss your living arrangements? What
Yes.
you were going to do after you got married?
Yes.
Okay. What was the plan?
He was going to move to PA, and he wanted to buy a house, and then he said that we would both live in that house together. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And as a result of that, who was going to pay for the house?
Nick Stark.
Okay. Did he indicate to you whether he was financially in a position to be able to afford the house without your assistance?
Yeah, that over time, but yes, yes, he said he was able to do that.
Okay, so he was going to be the one buying it.
Correct.
Okay. Was he responsible then for the arrangements for the finances?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you tell the jury, did you in fact start looking for houses together?
Yes.
Did you find any?
We did. At first, we were looking at houses for him because he said he was going to move to PA. And so it was just a house for him. And then as our relationship progressed, we started looking together. And we did. We found several that we liked, and then we landed on one, so to speak, or chose one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that ultimately result in an offer, acceptance, and a closing?
It resulted in an offer. He made an offer. I believe the offer was accepted. And if I'm thinking about it, it's because I'm not like real estate. I've never bought a house before. And I think he had put like a deposit or whatever, earnest money, whatever it's called in real estate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was there an actual closing date scheduled?
Yes.
Okay. So, do you know when that was?
Yes.
When was that?
March 20th, 2023.
And why do you remember that date specifically?
It was a traumatic day.
What happened?
We were supposed to close that day, and in the morning I was still in bed. We were staying together at an Airbnb in Pennsylvania. I was still in bed, and he woke me up, and he said he looked like he had already been up for a bit, totally dressed, and he said that he was going to go run some errands and pick up the check for the closing, the cashier's check, and that he would be back before closing.
Do you remember when the closing was supposed to be?
I think it was around noon, but I'm not positive. I don't remember the exact hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was sometime during the day?
Yep, sometime during the day.
Okay.
Yes.
And he left to go get the check.
Yes.
Was he supposed to come back to the house?
Yes, he was. Yes,
Okay.
before closing. Yeah.
Did he have a car at that time?
Yes.
Do you know what type of car it was?
I believe it was, I could definitely recognize it if I saw it. I believe it was a Ford. It was kind of like an SUV, a larger SUV. I want to say it was a Ford Explorer.
Okay.
And I believe it was green.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that point, he left to go pick up the check
Yes.
and was supposed to come home?
Yes.
Did he come home in timely fashion?
No.
What happened?
He wasn't at home when I thought, he probably should have been. Like, it was getting closer and closer to the closing time. And so I started texting him, like, on WhatsApp, like, hey, are you okay? Is everything okay? Because it felt unusual. And then I started calling him, and I wasn't getting through to him. It was either going, like, right to voicemail or just, like, clicking off. The connection was clicking off. And then I got a very alarming text message from him.
Okay.
And it said, or WhatsApp message, same thing. It said, my car buddy, because I think autocorrect, I just remember this text. It said, my car buddy into flames. And of course, like, reading that message, I'm like, buddy burst, like the autocorrect. And I was just, that's such a strange message to ever receive. But so then I'm like calling him frantically, and I didn't get through to him. I got through to, or I might have gotten through to him for a second, and then he like handed the phone off. But then I talked to a paramedic or an EMT, some kind of like medical professional.
Was at the scene with him?
Yes, correct.
Okay. At that point, you said that he had been on his way to the bank. Is that right?
That's what he told. He said he had to run like some errands and also pick up the cashier's check or registered check from the bank, from Citizens Bank. Yep.
Did you know how much the check was for?
I do not remember the exact amount, but I can tell you it was something like, it was a large amount. It was $800,000, I want to say, or $850,000. It was a very large amount of money. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So is your understanding that he was picking up the check and that he had been involved in a car fire of some sort?
Car accident is what I was thinking at
You
that
thought
time.
car accident, okay.
Because even reading I was like, I couldn't really fathom what had actually happened,
Right.
But yes, some kind of car incident.
Did you know if the car was new?
I think it was pretty new. I don't think it was an old car.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that point, did he go to the hospital?
So that's something, I asked the EMT or the paramedic, and I said, is he going to the hospital? Like what hospital can I meet him at? Those kinds of things. And she said, he doesn't want to go to the hospital. And I said, but are you, like, should he? Is he okay? I was asking like those kind of caring, concern questions. And I still didn't really grasp I didn't grasp what had happened to the car or how like severe it was, because I remember asking the paramedic or the EMT. I said, "Can you make sure, you know, he gets all of his things out of the car?" And she kind of, I don't want to say chuckled. It wasn't like she was amused, but she was just like, "I can try, but I don't think there's anything left in that car." And hearing that, I still was like a little bit confused. You know, I didn't understand the scope. And then, you know, I asked, you know, "Are you sure he's okay to not go to the hospital?" And she said, "Well, he doesn't want to go. Like, we can't, you know, yeah, he just wants to go back to you or whatever, or home, you know."
When he got home, did you take him to the hospital?
Yes, I insisted on taking him to the hospital. I was concerned about him.
Why?
Well, when he walked through the door of the Airbnb, he was like crying a little. He was shaking. He had some, like, he looked a little burned, like on his face. Like he was missing, I want to say like half an eyebrow. Like
Okay.
he had, yeah.
Okay. As a result, I'm going to show you 1.91. Do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
Yes.
What is that?
That would be his medical bracelet, like the bracelets they put on you at hospitals, and that was from his when I took him to the hospital.
Okay. And at this time, Your Honor, I would like to introduce that exhibit 1.91, I believe.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted without objection.
I'm going to publish it. Did that reflect the admission date on it right there?
Yes, March 20th, 2023. Yep.
Thank you. That was the day of the closing as well?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And at that point, do you know what happened with respect to the car? In terms of the insurance? How did that go?
I still don't. Oh, you mean like the insurance? I don't know. I still don't know what happened really. We went to the hospital, and then I had asked him, "Did you call insurance?" And he said no. And I'm thinking he's in shock, and so I, you know, encouraged him to do so. I said, "Well, you should report that, you know, to your insurance company that you had an accident or a fire or whatever it was." And so I believe he did that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But initially it was your impression that he had not.
Correct. He was acting, I thought he was in shock because he wasn't doing the things that I had always been told to do if you have a car accident. And that was strange for him because he was usually such a like intelligent, put together person. Like it just seemed odd. Like photos. I had asked him like a day or two after the fire, I said, "Did you take any photos of your car? You know, the damage?" And he said, "No." And he said, "Do you think I should?" And I said, I remember specifically saying this to him. I said, "Nick," I said, "you're a lawyer." I said, "What would you advise a client to do?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I guess you're right. I'll go take photos." And so then he went and took photos, and it was the photos that he showed me that I finally realized the extent of the damage to this car, and I was horrified.
Did you see the photographs yourself?
Yes.
How bad was the car?
As bad as you could possibly imagine. Like, yeah, like there was nothing, like it was just a frame, it looked like, of the car left, like a metal frame.
There was nothing left of the car. But
Yes,
the frame.
and then it made sense with the paramedic, her reaction, you know, when I had asked to get his things out of the car.
After the
Yeah.
incident with the car, did you follow through? Because that happened, you said March 20th of 23.
Yes.
Did you follow through with your plans to get married?
Yes.
Okay. And that's when we showed you the marriage license, is that correct? Or the application?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Did you know a woman by the name of Heather Thomas? Had he ever mentioned a
No.
woman by that name?
He mentioned he had a girlfriend named Heather. He said it was just a girlfriend. He said she had wanted to marry him and he did not want to, and they broke up, and that it was a messy breakup. That's what he had said.
Never told you that was his wife?
No.
Never told you that he had divorced her?
No.
Did you know if he owed her any money?
No. He told me he was debt free. He told me he owed nobody nothing.
He said he didn't know anything.
That's correct. He said he was completely debt free.
During your relationship with him, did you discuss having children, the two of you?
Yes.
Did that seem important to him?
Very much so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that point, did you make any arrangements to try and get pregnant?
Yes, around the time we got married. Yep.
Can you tell the jury what you did?
I went to a preconception appointment at my with a certified midwife at my OB office. Yep.
Okay. So that was right around what point in time? Can you
Right
tell?
around the date of our marriage. Yep.
Okay. So that was right away.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you've testified that you had no idea that Mr. Kassotis had a first wife, no less a second wife, correct?
That's correct.
And
Or that he didn't have. I testified that he didn't have. What do you mean by that?
let me clarify that. It was your testimony that you didn't know that his wife was alive when he first met you.
No, I did not know that.
And at this point, you didn't know either that there was potentially a first wife named Heather Thomas.
Right, that's what I thought you were. Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't know he had a wife before.
Okay, can you tell us how you came to learn of those things?
I came to learn of those things through over the course of several conversations with Agent Tracy Sands of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation after Nick was arrested.
Do you see Agent Sands here today?
I do.
Can you point him out for us?
He's right there next to you. Yep, in the middle. Yeah.
If the record can so reflect, Your Honor. And can you tell us, how did it make you feel learning that he had not only the first wife who had passed, but the second wife from before her?
I don't think words will ever capture how I felt, but I felt if I had to choose some words, I'd say horrified, shocked, traumatized, violated, deceived.
What did you do?
In the days that followed his arrest, I contacted Agent Sands multiple times. Tried to, after learning that, I tried to be as helpful as I could be, because I was horrified. And so in the days that followed, I took pictures of all the belongings that he had in the Airbnb and sent the photos to Agent Sands and asked if they needed anything of his belongings. And they requested some of those, and I had them shipped to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. And then I also, like his laptops, his phones, and when I say laptops and phones, because he had one for work, one for personal, and then I also started looking messages, emails, anything that I thought the Georgia Bureau of Investigation might want to see. It was just, I was still in shock, but I knew that I wanted to be helpful, because what I was hearing was so horrifying and I had no idea. And so I was trying to be as helpful in those immediate days as I could be.
What did you do about your marriage?
I wanted it annulled, because I felt like the marriage and everything in the marriage was not consensual because of his fraud, and I wanted it annulled. And annulment in Pennsylvania is very difficult. It's very, very rigid about the requirements to get an annulment. It has to be fraud, or like some very specific other things. So it was very hard to get a lawyer who would actually even pursue it, but I did get one, and we went to, we filed for an annulment and a divorce at the same time in case the annulment wouldn't go through. There are not a lot of annulments in Pennsylvania, to my understanding. And then I had to wait several months before we could go to a hearing, and we went to a hearing at a court of common pleas in Pennsylvania. And
Did you get an annulment?
And the judge, yes, the judge in Pennsylvania granted my annulment on the basis of his fraud. And so that was that's very rare in Pennsylvania that they do that. So the marriage was declared null and void because he committed fraud against me.
Do you know whatever happened to the house that you were supposed to buy?
I have no idea.
Did you ever buy it?
No.
Did you ever move into a house that he purchased?
No.
Did you ever see that check that was supposed to be picked up?
No, he said the check burned in the car fire. The cashier's check. Yeah.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Weinstein, cross-examination.
Good morning, Ms. Kolesnik. I'm Doug Weinstein. I represent Nick Kassotis. I just have a question for you about the down payment on the home. Do you recall Nick Kassotis putting a $50,000 down payment on that house?
He said he did, yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. You're excused. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been over 2 hours, so we'll go ahead and take a morning break. If you'll step out with the bailiffs, please. All right, the jury's out. We're in recess.